Good morning. So good to see you, all of you here. I'm excited. This is really kind of a kickoff event for Maker Faire. We did this last year, and I actually, believe that the most important thing that the Maker movement is doing is inspiring and connecting teachers, parents, and students to really not just make, but understand the value of making and really to transform the educational and learning experiences of all children, to make them active and engaged, and to do something that I think can have a profound impact on our world and on the lives of all the people that we connect. I think you'll see, if you come to Maker Faire, a lot of people who have started making and have begun developing in really interesting ways. The other thing I wanted to kind of tell you about is this week I have my book out. It's called Free to Make, and thank you. And I tried to capture a lot of the ideas behind the maker movement, the things that are both in my head and out in the world, the stories of makers, and certainly talk a lot about education, but not just schools, not just kids. This is something that I think is in our community, it's in our culture. And how do we create a culture around learning and foster that sense? And I think there's kind of three things I want to point out that I cover in the book a little bit. One is that making is really grounded in play. And I don't think we should forget that as we bring it into schools. I think it's almost the most important thing to ask ourselves, are we doing this in the spirit of play? This sense of immersion, sense of freedom that you have in play to do things and explore and be curious. And another sense is to actually do things without a lot of judgment keeping you from doing that, whether it's self-censorship or other people saying you shouldn't do that. It's trying things out. We play music, we play sports, and I think making is a form of play. Which leads me to my second thing. I think making is a practice. It is like yoga is a practice, but it's also like sports or music. You get better at it by doing it, and having more exposure to it helps you develop. So if making is seen as just a little slice of someone's life, a little tiny activity they do once in a blue moon, I don't think it has much impact on them. But if they begin to develop that practice internally, it becomes meaningful to them. It becomes something they can apply to lots of different subject areas, lots of different problem sets, and different opportunities that may come their way. So think about making, and how do you embed that as a practice that kids get a lot of experience doing. And the third element, I'm keeping all P's here, participation. And I think this is really what we have here in having a community and having the sense that you're doing this with other people, to participate. I think of Maker Faire as an element of participatory culture. It is really, the content is co-created with all the makers here that bring their work and share it. And they're participating in this event. And I believe even the people that come as guests are participating. They're active and engaged. So some of the value of making is it allows you to participate in communities that might be creative or technical, outside of school, outside of even the local community that you live in. So play, practice, and participation. I'd like to kind of embed that in you as you think about how you work with children particularly. Lastly, I want to tell you a story that I covered a little bit in the book. But one of the reasons I'm so excited to be here with Maker Faire at the New York Hall of Science is that it was where the World's Fair was held in 1964 and 1939. And I've had a few people over the years come up and say, the last time I was here was at the World's Fair. And I said, well, you could come back more often, right? But in 1964, the science fiction writer Isaac Asimov, I don't know if you know him, but he wrote the 3 Laws of Robots and all kinds of stories and things about the future. And he came to the World's Fair here, and someone asked him to think about what would the world be like in 50 years from 1964, which would be about 2014. And being, just a prescient fellow, he got a lot of things right. He said something like, the world would have a lot of robots, most of them not very good. And he talked about autonomous cars. He talked about a lot of things that we look around, either at Maker Faire or in the world around us, and we see them. But the one prediction he made that we didn't get right, and it's not him that's at fault, it's us. He said that every student would learn computer science. He said, this would be a normal subject in the life of that generation. And so, I think we have a lot to do to keep up with his vision of the future. But more importantly, today, we see making as part of that, part of certainly including computing, but it's much broader. But I think it's the marriage in ways of technical and creative skills, of digital and physical tools and processes that we're able to create new things. And more importantly, and this is sort of what I want to emphasize, back to the word participation, is I really want everybody to be engaged, to participate in creating that future. That there were visions even at that World's Fair that maybe a few companies would create that future, or a few really smart people would create that future. But as Steve Jobs said, the world around you was created by people no smarter than you. I wish we could get that message to every kid, because whatever their level, whatever their ability, they can participate meaningfully in creating that future. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day today, and welcome to Maker Faire.